The following is a list of Moors who have been kidnapped and are being held for a demand of income. The demand of income is being made against the family as well as through fraudulent submissions of documents alleging that they are being cared for in some sort of long-term care fashion. These Moors have been kidnapped literally off the land by employees of various corporations guised as county, city, township, boroughs. These names that we have all been mentally conditioned to believe are government are not. They are exactly what they say they are. They are municipal corporations. And as such, they, if you do the research, you will find that they are foreign corporations on American soil. Therefore, they do not have standing nor jurisdiction to make a demand of income from the Aboriginal, indigenous people, or any people on American soil. This making their actions criminal. However, as Moors, we must bring these crimes to the forefront via civil complaints against these unalienable Constitution treaty secured rights of the people, Aboriginal, indigenous Moors. So we start off with our sister RVBey, who was kidnapped through a joint venture between Memphis Corporation and Shelby Corporation under the purview of Tennessee. Now we say under the purview of Tennessee, which is a union state, because every union state is bound and obligated to protect the people from foreign and domestic invasion. We then have Daoud Ill under the purview of Arkansas, Amir Muslimin Ill under the purview of Missouri, as well as Kush Ra Kush Bey. We have Asar Patar Amin Ra under the purview of Ohio. And if we don't have the municipal corporation, the ones that did the kidnapping, the employees that did the kidnapping, we just reference the union state that is bound and obligated to protect the people. We have Jeremy Paler Ill, Terry Thorne Bey, J. McCall Brooks Bey, Joseph Canaday Ill, Kush Amir Bunch Ill, Emmanuel Billings Bey, Yassin Khalik Alamin Ill, and Michael Curry Bey, all being held under the purview of North Carolina. Noble Crisco Ill, being held under the purview of New Jersey. Messiah Aziz Ill and Crystal Ill, being held through a joint venture between Mercer, Freehold, and Trenton Corporation under the purview of New Jersey. We're still waiting on an update regarding the Patricia Bey's infant baby kidnapped by Atlantic Corporation under the purview of New Jersey. Eldridge Teron Fisher Ill and Marquise Sevion Ill under the purview of Indiana. Solomon Ill Bey and Mumi Abu Bey under the purview of Texas. William Barrett Ill and Bomani Abidwell Ill, William Barrett A. kidnapped under the purview of Virginia, and Bomani Abidwell Ill kidnapped by Chesapeake Corporation under the purview of Virginia, RVBey under the purview of West Virginia, Thomas Lee Bay under the purview of California, Victor Eduardo Juarez Ill, kidnapped under the purview of Harlem, under the purview of Georgia, Natural Tahuti Ill, kidnapped by Benner Corporation under the purview of Pennsylvania Corporation, and then Rennie Bay, kidnapped by Hamilton Corporation under the purview of Ontario, which is a subcorporation of Canada. All right. There we have Moors who have been kidnapped and are being held hostage by employees of various corporations on American soil, which is in violation of the American Constitution, and it is a treaty violation. And being that we're talking about Moorish Americans, Aboriginal Indigenous on this land, who are being kidnapped by foreign, or rather employees of a foreign corporation on American soil, this makes this an international issue, because you have two nations with one nation warring against another. Therefore, this is an international issue. If you have a family member near or far of your immediate family or one of the family that you know and you would like them added to this list, please send an email to MHHS-Eyes-Wide-Open@gmail.com, and in the subject line put Kidnap Moor, and please provide us with their free national appellation, the municipal corporation that the employee is operating through that kidnapped them, along with the union state that they are in, that corporation is in purview to. All right? Thank you very much.
All right, Islam. Welcome to MHHS Eyes Wide Open. This is your host, Anna-Eda L., along with my co-host, Ms. Reem Olive L.
Peace and love, Anna-Eda. Peace and love to Moors, everybody. Islam.
All right, RVBey.
Islam, peace and love to all.
And Ujo Adwell.
Peace and love, Moors, Islam.
Peace and love, Noble. Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
First of all, want to let our internet listeners know that the chat room is open, and also need to send a big shout out to our family listening there, the Great Britain Corporation, Japan Corporation, South Africa Corporation, the Philippines Corporation, let's see, where else? Mexico Corporation, near the Venezuela Corporation, near the Brazil Corporation, near the Cuba Corporation, and to family near the other various corporations around the world that we have yet to connect with. Peace and love, and thank you for listening. To our family on the phone lines, thank you very much for calling in each week, filling up the phone lines before the show even begins. Thank you so much for joining us, sharing, lending us your energy, participating, sharing information, so that together we can all uplift fallen humanity, beginning with ourselves. All right, so let's see. Today's broadcast is interesting, and we're going to try to cover a couple of topics in one sweep. It's entitled "Why We Cannot Register i.e. registrar, under any vital statistics, and your free national appellation and the relevance of the surname, secrets, and taking the covers off. Now, there's some more topics that we want to discuss under secrets and taking the covers off, but let's begin with the registering and the registrar. You know, the prophet told us that, you know, we have an illustrious history. He also said study, 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 and I know to a lot of people study, study, study seems to be just, you know, a curse word. But he also said in conjunction with that to, you know, he said go back to the state of mind of your foremothers and forefathers. I mean, he just gives so many keys that says go check out what you, the ancestors returned today, was originally doing in the past. Not the close past, but the distant past. Way back prior to the modern Europeans even coming here. What were we doing? How were we living? What things were we doing then that we're not doing today, and what things that we're doing today that we were not doing then? One of them is this vital statistic. If you do the research, what you're going to find is that we as Moors were never registered because registering was done to the slaves. The registering took place in the county office, and the county office is usually was along the shoreline. And, you know, they also had a county office in other areas. But the county was where you went to record your goods. All right? That's if you look at the language of, you know, a lot of county documents, they're talking about goods. Because we, not necessarily the Moors here, but the Moors that came here, specifically the British Moors, they came over here, they set up shop, and, you know, they were transporting goods from here to here, and they had to keep account of those goods, which is why you have the county. And the person that was in charge of the county was the count, where all the counting took place. So if you go back into the history and you look at what the vital statistics was called, and in some of the old buildings, they still have the shingle outside the office building that says registrar. It's the same word that's used when you go to register for class. Whenever you're registering, you're recording, you're making a record, but we as the Aboriginal indigenous people, free people all around the world, never did that. We never recorded the births or the deaths, not like that, you know, because it was nobody's business. And you know what's interesting? I've been you know, going back and reading, and, you know, it actually started because I started watching this series called The Magnificent Century. And it's actually, you know, talking about historical references of the Ottoman Empire. And if you did your research, you know, the Ottoman Empire is the Moorish Empire. But from that, it caused me to go back and look at some of the books that I read. Because, you know, I've been reading about the Moors and not really realizing I was reading about the Moors for years. And one of the things that I realized as I was going back and watching the series and going back into my notes, somebody registered themselves or their births or their deaths or anything like that. What they might have done is, you know, to their family, friends, and the locals, they might have made an announcement. And the announcement wasn't necessarily a written one. For example, in this series, whenever one of the a member of the Sultan, a member of the Sultan's family, the Sultan does not mean what you think it means. You find this out when you watch that series. When one of the Sultan's family gave birth to a new member, they had fireworks. Who knew there was fireworks going on in the early 1500s, late 1400s? That's how you knew, oh, something happened. What happened? Oh, the birth of a child. So it was those kind of announcements that was going on, not the kind of announcements that's going on today. Today, this Vital Statistics is just a keeping track of the slaves, really. Because that piece of paper doesn't say who you are or what if you're standing, sometimes you go places and they say, oh, I need a form of identification, and they want to see a birth certificate. Why? I'm standing right there. I need identification. Why? I'm standing right here. Because to me, the presumption is, oh, you think I'm lying. To me, that's an insult. So we have to look at things, and we have to take back our power as the people who are supposed to be, advising the servants, not the servants telling the people what they can and cannot do. That was never the nature of this land. Now, the second piece of information is regarding your free national appellation and the relevance of the surname. And one of the things that I was doing for myself is, and I did this a while ago, is I went back and I looked at my mom's maiden name, which is Miller. And I went back, and the Latin derivative of millet is merino. So I was going back and I was looking for merino again, and I realized that the maiden name, which is called the surname, and in some places today it's been known as the last name, isn't what we think it is. Everybody's like grasping at this surname and talking about, give them back their surname and all this other stuff. But really what we need to do is really go back and research, because one of the things that I found out is that Miller, back in the day, was never a surname. In fact, the only surname, or what could be called today a last name, that we as a people had was Il, Bey, Day, Al, or Ali, because Miller is a profession, not a family surname. So if you were the miller, which means you took grain and you milled it and then sent it back to be sold, or somebody might come to you with some grain and they, can you mill this for me, so I can do something else with it. That was your profession, but that was not your surname. So then it made me look at how was I using my appellation, and I actually was, and many of us, we were using it correctly. I'm Anna Eda Ill. Anna Ede is my first appellation, and Ill is my family appellation, and that's it. That's all there is. Anna Ede Ill, or Anna Eda Ill. That's all there is. and last, there's the secrets and taking the covers off. And there's so many secrets, and the covers need to be taken off. But what that really means is the secrets is your comprehension. And the taking the covers off is, do you comprehend? That's what it is, really. And one of the things that we wanted to briefly talk about is this Heard statute. What is it all about? Secrets, not. If you're studying, It's in the details in the American Constitution. There are three bodies. You have the legislative, you have the executive, and you have the judicial. Now, what's the key in this Heard statute that people need to be reflecting on? The word statute. It's known, or ought to be known, that a statute is not law. Therefore, since it is not law, what body of government would it fall under? Since it's not law, we know it can't be legislative. And since it's not judicial, because that would require the Supreme Court, it's not that either. The only thing it can fall under is the executive body, which is all about how the law is administered, but is not the law. All right? Statutes is not the law. Statute is the administration of the law. So what law would a statute be administering under her? It would be administering the first Bill of Rights, your religious freedom. But then that would only apply to corporations in some fashion. And the prophet never established a corporation for profit. He established a corporation to uplift fallen humanity, which is why this is a First Amendment right. Has nothing to do with statutes. Also, if you look up in the Blacksburg Dictionary, you will find that statutes refers to merchants and merchandise. What merchants and merchandise would you be finding under a religious body established by Prophet Noble Jew Ali? Genius that he was. How in the world could he have missed this pertinent piece of information? He could never have done that, especially since he started out teaching civics. People today miss things because of either lack of study, lack of information, or lack of contemplation of the information and putting everything in perspective given all of the relative factors. So when we look at all of these types of information, what we need to do is, first of all, whatever's coming from Prophet Noble Jew Ali, I would suggest that you first put in the front of your mind that the prophet functioned from a very high place. He wasn't wallowing around in his lower self. He functioned at a very high place. So whatever he put together was from a very high place, not a low place. It wasn't about insignificant things such as commerce. Remember, this is all about birthright theft. All right? Birthright theft and commerce are two separate things. And commerce has nothing to do with birthright theft. They are trying to generate, or they are generating income through the human trafficking of people. That is commerce, but that is also human trafficking, which is an international violation. So we need to really look at things objectively and from a higher place and not a lower place, and certainly do not apply or attach lower self-thinking to what Prophet Noble Jew Ali brought us. He brought us these things, and they are simple. And if we would just do the necessary thinking, we would realize what he brought us is absolutely amazing, and it is a wonderful thing that it's not anything that anyone can tear up. And that's what he said. He said, I brought you something you cannot, tear up. And it's a good thing because there's a lot of people out there trying to do that for one reason or another. Islam?
Islam. I was laughing when you said that. There's a whole lot of people trying to tear it up. I just want to clear something. For those who are listening, and they may be saying, well, if we're not going to do a vital statistics or register, then what are we going to do? You're going to do just what he told you to do, proclaim. He said, and even in the membership, he said, with us, all members must proclaim. That means that you would publish something, because declaring is being clear, and a declaration can be published or written, but a proclamation is absolutely unequivocally, no questions asked, something that must be put in writing and published, made public, which is what we suggest people do when we tell them to fill out the name correction judicial notice and send it to certain department heads of states, of all 52 states, not necessarily the local municipality or whatever, because notice to the principals, notice to the agent. But so for those who don't get that, it means the answer is to proclaim, simple. And in doing so, you're not asking permission. You're not asking to be recorded, filed, registered, or put into any vital statistic menus. And I know that, and I got one more thing to say, and I know Ms. has done some background work on the vital statistics as to, well, you basically said it, but how it literally started. So one of the things you said is going back to the mindset. How do we get the idea to do a vital statistic? We know already. We get it from European-style government. That European-style government, not American government. We get it from that activity of registering and property, things, and also from the vital statistics, which Ms. will tell you where that came from, really. That's where we get that idea from, but that is not the mindset of our ancestors at all, and I think you explained it really well. Now, the other thing is that it seems clear to me, particularly when you start talking about the Heard statute, and we looked into it, 34, you looked into it, I think Ms. also looked it up right before the show, I'm not sure. And, you explained it so well, because if we were to read the Constitution and thereby also enforce it as we were instructed to do, we would have automatically and immediately understood that Heard Statute 34 through 536 was simply pointing to a religious, to the First Amendment, which is religious freedoms, or First Bill of Rights, which already exists. So there's no need to do that. It's almost the same as when we talk about commerce, and we say that we don't use UCC's Uniform Commercial Codes. However, we do use UCC-1- well, I can't even remember now, because now we just do all rights reserved, 1-203, 308, I think they changed one of them too. Both of those two simply take and put things back to the Constitution, because one of those means I will not be involved in any contract that does not have full disclosure, and the other one means I will not be involved in anything that is not within natural law. So, of course, statutes are not natural law. So you use those from that perspective. In some respects, the Heards is that way, but not really, because it is as far as your comprehension of it, but as far as I think someone read that, said, oh, boy, the prophet did a religious affidavit and then destroyed the affidavit and meaning of it by replacing it with a statute. He didn't do the statute. He did the affidavit. However, if you refer to the statute that he did, that they're talking about in Heard, it's taking it back to the First Amendment. Same thing. I was speaking with someone, and they must have been coming from that same grain of no studying. Someone who gave them this information that they did not study. Where they were saying, well, the prophet had to create a corporation in order to interface with a corporation. And that's the most ridiculous thing there is when this is about nationality and birthright, that why would that happen? And then the reason was to preserve the religious aspects. But that's already done already. That's already done. That's in Bill of Rights 1. So if we were to agree and go along with that, we would be missing the point completely. Now, the other thing to that is if we were to if we were to agree that if we were to agree that he actually made a corporation out of. Now, we have to understand the use of words. I can say to you, I'm incorporating my blue shoes with my red shoes or something like that. That doesn't mean I'm making a corporation. So I think somewhere along the line, people who were probably before us that are teaching, I guess, or instructing or guiding, misunderstood or miscomprehended or failed to study, period, and made these adjustments or these assumptions and put that out for people to follow, because it's easy to understand why when, that's all that we have been, that has been before us. But that's the purpose of studying, to really get, the truth about what things are. So we have to, as he stated, start thinking. If we would start thinking, we would free ourselves from these things. And to end my comment, I believe so strongly that if we would just much time as we do in all of these I'm going to call them machinations, and read the Constitution, which protects everyone's right, which cannot be suspended and all of that, as a written document. It cannot be altered. What it meant when it was adopted, it means now. If we would do that, we would be able to recognize things and how they are attached to, how they are related, I guess is the right word, to the Constitution. But if we don't read it, then we won't be able to do that. So I think we go to deal with law first without reading the law of the land first. And although we are very much aware that it wasn't written for Moors. Oh, that was my last thing. Let me just bring this up real quick. And there was something on my mind. Some people believe that the Constitution was written by Masons. Wow, this is interesting. N.E., you told me, I think you pulled it up, where in the Constitution, the modern Europeans are thanking the Algonquins of the Equal Federation for giving them the law. We also, that's what was pulled in the congressional records, excuse me, not in the Constitution, in the congressional records. Right.
Well, there's actually a resolution where they thank the Moor. Actually, it's the Moors. Although people have been misinterpreted to classify them as Indian or brand them as Indians, they're thanking them for, and I have that, I'm sure, somewhere on my computer, where they're thanking them for allowing them or giving them the law which they adopted as the Constitution. Well, they didn't adopt it. It was adopted. Well, I guess they adopted it, but we wrote it.
Right. So right there should kill all the noise that the Masons created it. But if you want to go there, you need to qualify what Mason is. Now, I just put up a little article on the front page as a short analect dealing with that. That, first of all, Mason is my son. So if you think that they're hiding something, they're only hiding the truth about mother and son, which is what you need to go after to find out that truth. But the way in which it's put, people want to discharge it or not deal with it because of what they believe and not from what they know. But if we want to uncover it, as you said, let's uncover it and see what's going on there. I mean, I know that's a whole class in itself, but just generally speaking, it's about ma and son. So now, all Moors who are born are a mother's son, mother's child, period. Just period. So then what are they covering up if it's called ma son? They obviously are covering up some truths about mother and son, mother and child, actually, that maybe you need to look into. Now, the only way to really be able to do that is to also know what signs and symbols, because the prophet himself said, you must learn by signs and symbols. So here we are throwing out the science of Mason or masonry by not actual building, that is, starting in the womb, building the body, and outside of that, building, literally building. We're throwing the whole thing out because somebody is using it in a manner that may not be correct. So in other words, they use the symbols, they use the science, and maybe in a bad or not good way or untoward way. And so because of that, you're saying, well, we're going to throw that all out. But it means ma and son. There's something behind that. There's mother and child. So if you see symbols, for instance, sword over the head of the woman. I mean, I put a picture right on the front page so you can see that when they're doing their marching, they actually have it over a more white woman. You can see the skin is darkened, and I think they have more like dressed in Egyptian style at that point, because there's all kinds of orders, secret society orders. But remember, the prophet said he was taking the covers off, and if you really study his work, that's exactly what he did. So when you see a symbol and you see the star and crescent upside down, or you see the sword over the head of the woman, you know they're cutting off the child, they're cutting off the head of the mother, which is the truths that you also are rebuking because of the way someone else is using it. And they're also cutting off the child generationally or turning it upside down or anyway. When you see the Moorish flag and you know that you say you study the prophet's work and he clearly specifically says that green star must be in the center, but you see a flag that has other stuff on it and doesn't have the star in the center, and then you want to act like, oh, well, we're going to go believe that. Well, guess what? You can believe anything you want, but if you represent studying the prophet's work, you are absolutely out of order, and those who are listening or who are following that, the only reason they don't know is because they're new coming in and they haven't studied jack, so therefore they go along with that. But once you read the prophet's work, you see differently. So now what is the person going to tell you about why they created a new flag calling it the Moorish flag? Now, what we have to remember, there's only two things going on here, and that is the Great Seal or the eagle. And we established the eagle for the United States of America, of which you cannot be a party or a member to, period, done. Just can't be. So no matter what these people out here creating, I don't care what they're creating. They start talking about they're creating some new nation, some new government. They're either under the eagle or under the Great Seal. And if you're under the Great Seal, the nation already exists. It already exists with the five major principles that in regards to a nation. It's already done. The flag, the land, the seal, the law, Constitution, the law of the land, specifically for other citizens so they don't molest you. It's already done. So how are you going to go out and redo that unless you're claiming to be under that, and therefore you are an association of some sort under the government that operates here? You can't start a new one. Well, if you do choose, are you under the eagle or are you under the Great Seal? And if you're under the Great Seal, you ought to understand what that is. You really do. And if you're under the eagle, you ought to understand what that means. And if you read the law of the land, you'll understand the limitations of that. There's limitations under the eagle, under the United States of American land. It's right in the Constitution. It tells you what they can do, what they can't do. But because we're not enforcing it, because we never read it, and that's why the process said there's but one supreme issue, and that is to enforce the Constitution for the United States of America. Now, some people say, oh, he meant the divine law and constitutions. Well, everybody can't be that stupid to not, or that simple, to not understand that, of course, he meant for you to enforce the divine law and constitutions under the, if you're in the membership of any of those chapels, Of course you're supposed to do that. However, he clearly told you that if you don't answer up, every man must answer up to the national constitution. Well, that's not the divine law. The divine law and constitution, divine constitution and bylaws. It says bylaws of an association. Nobody's knocking that, but you got to know the difference. So I just wanted to bring that forth and say that we have a short thing on some of this that we just discussed tonight, and I yield the floor. Islam.
Islam.
Wow.
To add on to the pyramid and eagle.
Yes.
Keep in mind that with regard to Moorish Science Temple of America, just like what Mother RVBey was breaking down about how limited the ability to exercise is under the eagle versus under the pyramid, right? But when you hear individuals say part and partial, they're partial because they're under the eagle.
Wow. Excellent.
They're partial because they're under the pyramid.
There you go.
Noble Drew Ali is prophet, they sing hymns to or whatever, it's under the eagle. Noble Drew Ali is a great man, and we honor him because of the knowledge that he brought to the Negro black colored people. That's under the pyramid.
That's right.
Moors telling Moors to notarize paperwork, authenticate birth certificate, notarize diplomatic immunity of the state of whatever under the eagle. Create your own writs. Matter of fact, have a body that's already put these people on notice and tie yourself with them under the pyramid.
There you go.
Because it's returned to the ancient foremothers and forefathers. And the ancient foremothers and forefathers didn't rep the eagle. If they rep anything, it would be a phoenix, as far as a bird or an owl or something like that. They aren't repping no eagle. They might rep a hawk. They might rep a falcon. But they're not repping an eagle if they're ancient foremothers and forefathers. Right? And also keep in mind that the concept of the Great Seal is because America is Egypt of the West. So because this is Egypt of the West, John Hanson, who created that seal, used the pyramid. And then when you look at the charter of the Moorish Science Temple of America, it has the pyramids on it. But not the pyramids from over here. The pyramids from over there. Why? Because over here is over there. So they're going to stray away from the Great Seal, saying that, that has nothing to do with Moorish Science Temple or whatever like that, but the charter has the pyramid of the Great Seal on it. That they're saying that temple is for a charter called Moorish Science Temple. But then people in Moorish Science Temple are saying they don't want nothing to do with Great Seal.
Wow. That's interesting.
Right? And these are the same insurgents and dissidents that we're talking about that are institutionally psychopathically inferior, and they're on our side.
Yeah.
They are the Constitution is the plague to those Moors. They don't want nothing to do with constitutional activity, constitutional expression. They want Moors to be respected from some religious, corporate, whatever. They want Moors to be recognized because of some statutorial code ordinance.
Wow.
When we do all these things to be ourselves, if we're being ourselves, then we're not registering.
We're proclaiming, like he said, right?
Right? And then Moors are going to get caught up with the same concept of register again, because Moors are saying, well, don't use their vital statistics, use our vital statistics, because we're the Moors and the Moorish vital statistics of whatever. Well, the Moorish vital statistics of whatever are the same people that are saying they're Moorish Science Temple, which was incorporated.
And under the eagle.
And under the eagle.
I love the way you made that comparison.
When people say naturalize, they're naturalizing under the eagle.
Eagle, that's right.
Mm-hmm.
As soon as they start talking about Abraham Lincoln and oath of amnesty and all that, you're talking United States of America. You're not talking Moorish Empire.
Word.
But because they dress the part, people assume. And then again, because of lack of study, the people looking at the Moorish landscape don't pay attention to the beautiful, bountiful, whatever. All they see is desert lands and say that, oh, I don't want nothing to do with the Moors. Look, they have nothing. The Moors aren't doing anything. And detach. When they're detaching themselves from their own thing that they were told is not theirs. Mm-hmm. And then the people like so-called Illuminati or whatever, who don't even claim the Great Seal, but hey, if it's abandoned, they'll use its powers. But if it's a seal, it has powers. Like they sealed the devil. They sealed Jesus in the tomb. So sealing ends stuff. If it's sealed, it's over. So if it's great sealed, then we maybe aren't even fully comprehending what's been sealed. If the seal is great.
Mm.
It's not just a regular seal now. It's a great seal. The regular seal, you put on, peanut butter or whatever. We're talking about great seal. What do you mean, great seal? Like, what's great about this seal? That there's no other seal in the world that's called great, except that one. The only one. No other seal is called great seal. So there must be some serious power behind this seal. I yield the floor.
Islam, and that speaks to so many things that were brought up throughout the course of this conversation already. With people being confused about Masonry and things like that, I'm not the one to advocate go get initiated. Not at all. I would never suggest somebody do that. I'm just saying that looking at different tools, we got to keep things in this original context, right? Because you have to build to get a structure like that. And it's still mind-boggling to many of how that was even built, that Great Pyramid, that Great Seal, and things like that. So, it takes us back straight back into the necessities of life when you're talking about building, erecting structures, homes, and things like that. So that should, inspire you to get back into what your ancestors anciently did, erecting erecting buildings, and things of that nature, things they still can't figure out how it was done, and with that, I just want to say respect to that aspect of the natural essence of that. And as we're saying, masonry is really mind, son, like as you said, and it has been said before, when you look at it like that, you're basically saying it's something relative to bloodline there, right? It has to be something relative to bloodline. If you're talking about mind, son, she building the solar man's temple in the womb and things like that, so she's a master builder, right? So, there's again the semiotic aspect, which some people would say is subjective, but there's a lot of truth in that, and that's the real facts. So my thing is, and I make it very clear, I'm not ever suggesting anybody go get initiated, but look at the history of the Moors and see the lineage of how did they get into power, what are they ruling with, how did they get that information, who did they get that from? And this will take you back to, the history of the Moors civilizing the Europeans, and that great seal representing, the symbol of civilization, like for the planet Earth, or mastermind thinkers, if you will. So, all of it is telling the story, and we have to keep that in mind because, like you said, it's the great seal and the eagle. And again, how do you, because you have to build the pyramid. That's just what it is. So that aspect of building is involved. The aspect of different tools, you know what I mean? Tripods, plumb lines, making sure everything is even, among many other things. A lot of the tools we see metaphorically that we use in the workshop of the mind, because everything does start in the mind first. So, just to keep it in its original aspect, so what was so sacred about it or so secret about it that the Europeans wanted to harness that, and keep that for themselves. And again, like you said, there's records where they're thanking, Moors for the forms of government or the lessons they received and things like that. You know what I mean? So, again, it's no secret that they got all of this information from us, but what's crazy is now it's like most of our people forgot that there's certain things that came from us, and they keep giving the credit to the modern European or the pilgrim for these things these great things that their ancestors did. Case in point, you brought up about the Illuminati. They're like, you never seen the Illuminati come out claiming like this is our seal. People will credit them with something that's not really, there. It's like the spooky aspect of consciousness. Like, you know what I mean? And to me, it's an oxymoron, because one thing that information is supposed to do, or knowledge is supposed to do, or has the potential to do, is to dispel fear. So they put this theme of spooky consciousness out. Oh, that's the Illuminati, blood sacrifices. Why? To divert you from drawing towards that. You know what I mean? So it kind of goes back to the aspect of believe some of what you see, none of what you hear type of thing. When you hear people saying things like that, or when, they're crediting the word American to the European or the pilgrim, things like that.
Truth and falsehood being strangely mixed is also what it's accredited to. Yes,
it's strangely mixed. So I'm looking at that whole energy, and it's like, to me, it's not really consciousness. It's something like, people might not understand something, but they want a story to tell, or they're intentionally putting out this over what, this information is about. So I see it in the same light when you speak of the Moors who say, well, we don't want nothing to do with the pyramid and things of that nature. And because that's, whatever their mentality is, I'm seeing it in that same stream of I don't even want to call it consciousness. I want to call it reporting, misinformation. You know, I put that all in the same category because I'm like, there's no way you're going to credit that. And as you said, the watermark on some of the documents Noble Drew Ali left was the pyramid. You know what I mean? So you're not going to spook us out with that one. You know what I mean? So we taking it all back as far as what's ours. It really never went anywhere. It's just the mental detachment. So, again, you know, you got Europeans thanking Moors for teaching them, and we know that Moors taught them in the lodges or the longhouses and things like that. Again, going back to the concept of the house that was briefly spoken of last week, and the fact that these so-called Masons still correlating with the kitchenware aprons and things like that. All of these things, you know, they got this knowledge or utilize this knowledge that Moors not just specifically passed down to them, but basically to the whole world, you know. So we need to take the actual credit where it's due as far as what our ancestors did. You know, there's a lot of people who wouldn't have things in place if Moors didn't do what they did centuries ago. So it comes down to the fine distinguishment of this, you know. I know in law, going back to the religious aspect and the vital statistics and things like that, I know in law that there's something called mala in se and then mala prohibita, which we know mala in se is basically, you know, violations in universal law. Like, you don't need a statute for that. You know it's wrong. You know what I mean? You know it's prohibited by law. You know, when you're violating, it's a universal thing. It's not even up for legislation. And then you have certain things that are solidified in natural law, and then they make the mala in se to, you know, solidify statutory or whatever. But my thing is this, that, you know, the law of nature is supreme. You know what I mean? Like, that's what it is. And those aspects are embodied, you know, within the Constitution, because what happens is when you got the Ninth Amendment and you look at the First Amendment and it's talking about the religious freedom and things like that, what people do is they tend to think of it as, oh, well, you have the right to be a Christian, you have the right to be a Muslim, you have the right to be a Buddhist, etc., when that's not really, you know, the aspects of religious freedom. Now, my thing is this, it's like, I wouldn't tell anybody don't study any of those things, because, like, if I'm going to claim to be a mathematician, I would look crazy if the only branch of math that I know is addition, but I'm claiming to be a mathematician, right? So you can't take one branch of a whole philosophy or a whole science, and off that one branch say that you are, you know, that. Because the question next is, okay, well, we know 1 + 1 is 2, so now what about algebra? You know what I mean? What about division? What about multiplication? You know, fractions, things like that. So when somebody takes on the perception or the garb of holier than thou, I read the Bible, I'm a Christian and I'm religious, I personally, you know, I don't knock anybody's, you know, faith or anything like that, but I know the difference between the political ramifications and the fact that, you know, it's a difference between being biased and being open to information, because we could look at all the text and see the correlations. And these handbooks, if we will, you know, they're really law books, really, and that's a fact. But again, you can't just study one and say, you know, I got it all. That's not how. That's really not true. That is definitely, you know, circumscribing your ability to, you know, actually receive and gain wisdom from anywhere. So my thing is, only a fool will shun knowledge. Now, you don't have to go, you know, pray to somebody and worship them to receive knowledge. No, that's not what I'm saying. Again, which is why I wouldn't suggest that anybody go get initiated in these days. Now, if anybody has a will to do that, that's your will. You know, again, I'm not judging anybody. It's just not, when I'm speaking on it, I'm not saying go be a part of this, because very clearly, you know, we can see the difference. It's a lot of our Moorish brethren and sistren who've been under the psychological attack of Christianity. And I don't mean that from, you know, a believing in the Bible perspective. I mean from the Treaty of Peace and Friendship perspective, the Christian parties, the Christian powers, and things of that nature. So they're claiming something that they could never really be, but they have a belief that they're that. So, you know, sometimes you got to go to the origin of these things and show, like, how all of this is really relative to, you know, how the Moors got overthrown, how the Aboriginals everywhere got overthrown. And there was a lot of wars and things like that based off of, you know, they say it was religious, and in that aspect it was. But again, when you know the context of the Treaty of Peace and Friendship, when they're talking about Muslims and Christians going to war, we know that it was being spoken of from political party aspects, and that's a fact. That is definitely a fact. So my thing is, the Christian powers, we've seen how they infiltrated, you know, the American government, etc., and utilized that still to this day. I kid you not, last week I went into a de facto meeting room that they were calling a courtroom. And again, this was the second time that I witnessed this. But they basically, they had the court, before anybody could go into the meeting room, they had it, you know, shut down for a private affair. And that private affair was, there was a family of Moors. There had to be about like 15 of them all together. And the magistrate married them in the meeting room. And again, you know what I mean? It was just an affirmation that the church, so-called state, or the Romans in the church, they really never separated those powers. You know what I mean? Even though they say that the church and state was separated, it never really was. You know what I mean? They just basically made new institutions. So now, instead of a sister going to the church to give birth in the baptismal waters, they got hospital beds now. They got a whole nother institution for that. Instead of having you know, sign the or sign up your child in the church, they got an institution for that. They do it through the hospital. But all of these are interrelated institutions, you know. So you see the state, the church, and the hospital working together. That's a fact. But this goes back to its origins, because you was mentioning about the Vital Statistics, and I did mention this before, but I'll just cite this reference again. And this was out of the Vital Records Registration Handbook from Jacksonville, Florida, Florida Office of Vital Statistics, 2007. And it says, the original purpose of Vital Statistics was for tax purposes and for the determination of available military manpower. Births were initially registered with churches who maintain registers of births. This practice continued into the 19th century. That's what it says. You know what I mean? And that's in the Jacksonville handbook, you know, Jacksonville, Florida. So my thing is, when you know the history and the origin and the lineage of certain things, well, I don't even want to say lineage, because these are artificial constructs. They don't have bloodlines like that. But from their essence, from their inception to now, you know, you could kind of see how they branched out, but didn't really separate like that, you know. So my thing is, these were Christian functions, and I'm not saying that because You know, I've had deep conversations with people who read the Bible, and what usually is concluded after building like that is that they have to realize they're not really Christian, though they may believe that. You know, I'm speaking about certain Moors specifically. You know what I mean? Because they mention a lot of Moorish bloodlines in the Bible, right? But then the catch is, you know, being under that political jurisdiction of Christianity, because there's a lot of parallels in the Circle 7, in the Bible, in the Holy Quran of Mecca, as far as the different people who are being spoken about. So you see that, you know, certain Moorish families, dynasties, lineages are solidified, you know, in the halls of history. So, you know, it's one thing to know the Bible. It's another thing to be Christian, you know, or Catholic, or, you know, whatever. But also we got to remember that there was an aspect of defeat in those names, you know. So when you see the signs like, in this sign we conquer, cross through a crown, you know, that's the symbolic mantras, you know. And then again, going back to the Masonry, because again, we can't just study one branch. Like again, if somebody claims to be a mathematician but they only studied addition, you would not give them that credit for being a mathematician, because it takes a little bit more in addition to claim that title. You know what I mean? Like, of being a math teacher, a mathematician. So, you know, if somebody's going to be claimed to be a teacher, they should know a little bit about these things. I'm not saying everybody has to know it all, but my thing is, as long as you keep your foundation in what you and who you are, right? Because it's good to know thyself, but there's, you know, they say that when you get knowledge of self, you gain knowledge of others. Because one thing that you notice about yourself, or people collectively, is that in a certain aspect, you know, every living thing is connected to every other living thing. But that doesn't mean, like, you know, everybody's going to have the same quote-unquote beliefs. But it's not about beliefs. It's about facts. So the facts are, you know, there's a clear distinguishment between Moors and Christians. Religious freedom comes under natural law, really, and that's for real. The Institutes of American Law will teach you that, by John Bouvier's, you know, Common Sense to show you that, you know, understanding that the true religion was based off of the zodiac and numerology and things like that, going back to that hieroglyph of the 7 being on the circle 7. That's a big clue right there. Going back to the fact that the Masonic lodges, or et cetera, they're basically saying the same thing but a different way, because, you know, they got the circle and the square and the compass with the G in the middle, which the G is the 7th letter, you know what I mean? But then the compass is for drawing circles around our passions, right? This is Moorish Holy Temple of Science lessons, right? That we use the compass to draw a circle around our passions. So you see it through the hieroglyphs, that the G with the square and the 7, that's still circle 7. So my thing is, what made that mysterious? You know what I mean? Why did that go, quote unquote, underground? What happened? You know, and are we going to step up to get it back? And I'm not saying, you know, go run down on a lodge. Like, no, study. You feel what I'm saying? Because there's a lot of information that's out there on the subjects. You know, everything is not, quote unquote, secret, as they try to convince you to believe. That's not true. So, you know, I say that to say that stay open to the knowledge, you know, realize that religious freedom is based off of natural law. You know, if they made a statute to support natural law, then, you know, it is what it is. But that doesn't, like, because let's say they made a statute for the state of whatever, you know. In essence, that's not national. That's not, because they might say, well, that statute doesn't apply in the state of whatever, right? And then you got the confliction with the sister clauses of Article 4, Section 1 or 2, the full faith and credit. Excuse me, or Article 1, Section 4. Yeah. Pardon me on that. Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's 4. Yeah.
Right. But the statute doesn't create the religion, though. You get what I'm saying? Like, so meaning that somebody, Moors in Canaan land, right? We claim Islam, right? It don't have nothing to do with any type of border. That's solidified all over the globe. It's not a statute that will ever be able to supersede that. You get what I'm saying? Like the aspect of it isn't statutory. So the origin, the substance, the fabric of it is not statutory, but it's real. So therefore, certain statutory aspects was put in place to make sure that those natural laws were on everybody's books as being protected in one way or another. But I'm saying that, you know, the state of whatever isn't the source of the validity of religious freedom in any type of aspect at all whatsoever, because the veneration for the universe, you know, it's documented in law as a part of being lawfully protected, or to even, you know, show veneration in any type of format that you deem, you know, valuable to you or real to you. So, you know, all of it is related. And with that, right now, I'd like to yield the floor. Islam.
Well said. Well said.
Wow.
And wouldn't you say, Annie, that most all of the laws or even statutes are based in, I mean, this is what we're saying, and Ms. just put it, you know, perfectly. You know, they point to a law somewhere, you know.
Yep.
Yeah. Yeah. But it is not that's not.
Right. Well, a lot of people don't know, and it's understandable because we've been mentally conditioned away from the law so that, you know, people today are not even called civilians. People are called citizens. Now, I don't know what citizen means today, right? But civilian is one who is knowledgeable in law. So the people are not even called civilians today because they don't know the law. They know the administrative portion of the law, which is the statute, and they don't even know that. Because there's, you know, I think it was last year, maybe the year before, where we listened to and analyzed a conversation that was had by the it was a review board. They were reviewing a congressional what was it? Congressional hearing, I think it was, or on criminalization. And oh gosh, I just lost my train of thought.
I remember that. I think I was with you when you were watching that.
Yeah.
Or you did a class on it. You did a class on it in New York. You showed it. Right.
We were watching that, and we were analyzing it. And in that actual live video footage, you know, or recast, I should say, they tell you that they create like 4,300 new statutes every year. And in that, they said, which is why they had this whole discussion on over-criminalization, because what they said was that because there are so many statutes, they have to find the statute that applies to the so-called crime, which explains why
they will kidnap one of the people, usually Aboriginal indigenous people, right off the street. And they'll have them sitting in the prison for some time. And even while they're sitting in there, they're asking them, well, what's the crime that I committed? Family members might be asked, what's the crime? They don't know. Because they have to go find the crime. They get to go find the statute that and apply it to the crime and so-called crime. Because I'm it's a sad thing when the people who are the lineal descendants of the Aboriginal indigenous people found here on this land by modern Europeans, they do not know the law all. And so, and you see it over and over and over again. I know with me, as I'm just going about my day, I am so keenly aware of how much information people lack. And the prophet said, I give you enough to save a nation, now save yourself. And we've been mentally conditioned to believe that statement is selfish. So we go on this campaign to save everybody. But you can't, because they didn't get the call. And one of the things that I have learned is that if you try to save a person who did not get the call, they will drown you. They will.
Yes.
It will drown you. And it's like, I trained to be a lifeguard years ago. And one of the things that they teach you is when you go to rescue somebody, be prepared to knock them unconscious. Because if you don't, they will drown you. And this is why the prophet said, I gave you enough to save a nation, now save yourself. Because if you go out there and you try to save some of these people that's not ready, they didn't get the call, just like in the Matrix. They said, look, some of the people, you can't wake them up. They've gone too far. It's not in age. It's in their mental concept. He said it becomes dangerous to try and wake them up. This is why the prophet said, I gave you enough to save a nation, now save yourself. You got the call. You're the one that has to be prepared for you, not for anybody else, for you. And it's not selfish. It is real. That is a universal principle. You can't save anybody else. By that, I mean, if they're not ready to be saved, you're just going to be annoying them because everybody is going to get to the same place sooner or later. But you can't put anything into somebody's head. When they are ready for the information, their mind will open up and the information will just drop in because it's always been there. So this is it's about uplifting fallen humanity, but the uplifting of that particular fallen humanity is you. Everybody got the call or is getting the call. Meanwhile, the information is here waiting for them. So if they got the call, they're already looking for the information. If they're going to get the call, the information is here and waiting for them. But
true.
It's our duty to get ourselves prepared. And too often I see people just, I have 6 daughters and some of the information they utilize, they get the concept, but I'm not running behind any one of them to do what I'm doing or, nothing. Whatever they're comfortable doing or not doing, I'm okay. I'm all right with it because this is my lesson. I can look in their chart and I can kind of see what their lessons might be, but only they know their lessons. And it's for them to step up and do what they're supposed to do for their life purpose. I don't know what their life purpose is. The only thing I am is a vehicle for them to get here and learn the life lessons they signed up for. That's it. That's all there is. There's nothing else. And for those who are listening and you're thinking, oh wow, I wish I had this information years ago. You got the information when you're supposed to get it. Now move forward with it for you. So there's a lot that we need to know, but really there's not. Because once we get the concept, everything makes sense. It doesn't matter what comes at you. And, when you get to the place where, the variables may change, but the formula will always be the same, you'll be a lot more at peace with yourself. Doesn't mean that you won't get shaken up every now and then. It just means that you'll be a lot more at peace with yourself, and you'll be more ready and prepared for when a lesson is coming or upon you. So with that, let's take some callers. Caller.
Hold on, before you do that, I'm definitely want to get into the callers as well. But I just wanted to say this one thing, because you mentioned this to me that somebody was calling or mentioned that, it sounded retarded to me. I'm gonna be honest, but they had tried to discredit again, RVBey publications and everything that we're teaching, saying that those Moors teach masonry. You know what I mean? Don't listen to them type of thing. Like was disclaimed through this broadcast tonight. Nobody on this line is saying go get initiated. All right? And if somebody is willing to give you jewels like that, you should get slapped in your head if you don't have an attentive ear to, receive that and take what you can from it, because it's your science. Nobody is saying go worship a man and call a male son your worshipful master. We're speaking of masonry in the context of how your house was built, all right, and the metaphoric lessons that go with building. So, it sounds retarded. It's child's play, you know what I mean? And we're not always going to address retarded statements like that. And I mean that every aspect of the word. That for somebody to tell you that with no verification, no qualification of what masonry is, because in all reality, Noble Drew Ali said he was taking the covers off of all secret organizations. Did he not? Ain't that what he said that, right? All right, so if we were, all right, you should be thankful and give, you know what I mean? Send a thank you card or something. But don't try to get on a venue that we're not on and talk crazy like that. That's disrespectful, you know what I mean? But for those who appreciate the knowledge, we appreciate you all too. But, again, nobody is saying or ever speaking of masonry in the aspect of somebody should go get initiated. That's never what we're saying, and never have, and more than likely never will. So don't be confused with the people who are trying to divert, the energy of what Noble Drew Ali was saying in certain aspects. So again, you know what I mean? If you can receive this.
I'm saying if they study Prophet Noble Drew Ali's work, they would see that he was taking the covers off of secret societies, and like I said earlier, it's about mind, son. Like, people need to get to thinking. It's the part that's hidden. And then symbols, right? So they also doing half. We're telling half of it, you know, in fiction and truth, strangely mixed. But someone who doesn't even know what the signs and symbols are, in other words, if they don't even know what they are, to recognize them, they can't even speak about what they think anyone is doing until they study enough to recognize what is really, you know. And I don't want to, but you did say one thing. I just wanted to add this. We taught science of the universe for mysteries of the life for living, if you want to call it mysteries or our story. In American land, it was called the Equal, or what they referred to as the Equal long houses, and that's where they get lodges from. So I think someone said earlier, we originally taught that, and then Anna E. dug up where the modern Europeans said, thank you for giving us the law, right? So, right. So without knowing the history, you know, and knowing these things, they need to shut up. I guarantee you they don't know about that came out of the studies that the modern Europeans said, thank you for that. So they'll say, oh, it's Masonic. The Constitution is a Masonic document. Well, if you know what Masonic or what it's you know what our qualifications.
And let me say this before I forget my thought too. My fault. Not for nothing. I don't want to cut your wisdom, but I don't want to lose my thought. All right. So, and again, to go back in on the subject of masonry, if anybody is saying that in the name of, oh, well, you know, Noble Dry Lee didn't say that, and you know, he said he was taking the covers off of all secret organizations. He didn't necessarily say how, but he was doing that, meaning that in chapter 5, right, of your Holy Quran, Circle 7, that's exactly what he was doing, all right? Like, that's by even making sure that information was presented. Now, it's not a question whether he wrote it or not. The fact that he presented that information in a fashion where you wouldn't have had access to it at that time, right? Not like that, really. You know what I'm saying? That's exactly what he was doing. But I will also say, be careful, because there are some people who are claiming to be teaching masonry, but they're really not. Like, and I mean, you got certain people out there, you know what I mean? They're throwing hand mudras on YouTube and things like that, telling you this to get you out of court. Telling you, be careful with that. No, seriously though, be careful with that, because what will happen is if a magistrate throws one back at you and you don't know what that means, all right, you will be marked as a Cowan, C-O-W-A-N. You'll be marked as a Cowan, and they know the language, all right, meaning that you will be forever looked at as an imposter. They have an emblem that they use in masonry, which is a sword over the book or over the Constitution. Like, I kid you not. You can pick this book up. It's no book that's really secret, but you could get this in the bookstore. What's the bookstore in Camden? I forgot the name of the store, the bookstore. But there's a bookstore there, and the book is called The Craft and the Symbols. Huh?
I can't remember the name of it. It's on 6th Street off of Market in Camden.
I forgot.
La Unique.
Shout out to La Unique. All right. It's a book, The Craft and the Symbols. You can get it right in there, maybe order online, you know, Camden, under the quasi-jurisdiction, Camden, New Jersey. And you can get the book right out of there. But it's a book called The Craft and the Symbols, and one of the symbols is the Constitution with a sword on top of it, meaning that the symbology in it is for you to even get to that law, they're going to test your heart, all right? The sword pointed at your heart is to see if you're official or not. That's one of their rituals. If you come talking like that, expect the test. You know what I mean? At some point, you got to expect the test. And, you know, I'm not saying that that's like some, you know, rite of passage for us, but I'm letting you know that's a fact they move like that. So when they talk about Justinian and things like that, you know, they basically like, look, if you come talking this constitutional law, we checking your heart to see if you're official. And don't act like you're going to throw a sign at a magi, and that's the only sign you know, and you're going to be walking out scot-free. Because I'm telling you, it'll be a long night if they find out you're doing that and you don't know what you're doing, you know. So, again, I'm just saying, I'm putting out the caveat. Don't learn. I'm not saying, you know, don't observe, but don't think you're going to learn all of that off of somebody on YouTube, all right? And they're not even telling you what's the sign that you should be expecting back in return. So, you know, I mean, just be careful with who you let teach you. You know what I'm saying? So I just wanted to add that on, and with that, because, you know, you got people up here looking crazy, like they got Tourette's throwing signs. You know what I mean? Twisting their fingers like they gangbanging. You know what I mean? And it's like, if you don't know what you're doing, don't do it. That's just the bottom line. That's just the bottom line. If they're not giving you the source, do not run with it. That's all I'm saying. So with that, I yield the floor. Definitely willing to hear from the people. Islam.
All right, Islam. All right, caller, 412-989. Oh, sorry, 969. You're live on the air. Please state your Appellation, Northwest Mexico.
Islam family, this Energy L, Northwest of Mexico. Ooh, I enjoy the family. Thank y'all so much. I appreciate it. I'm loving Ms. Ooh, I love you, sweetheart. I do.
Peace and love. I love
y'all
you too.
really put just, you know what I'm saying, keeping it a buck out here. Really. Come on now. People are taking their time. That's the most precious commodity upon this existence right now, your time, to do this for us on the regular. You know what I'm saying? Faithful, tried, and true. Giving it to you raw dog. How you going to sit up there and, you know what I'm saying, try to bang on it in a non-beneficial way? I don't appreciate that. Yeah, I called. I told. Oh, my goodness. This is crazy out here, bro. All I can say is this. What I've been experiencing lately, that whole adage about if you don't know your history, you're doomed to repeat it. Now, there's some BS going on, which we're familiar with. I ain't going to give it too much credence. However, to me, it equates to the Jamestown massacre, basically. Talking about drinking the Kool-Aid with Jim Jones and them cats. Nah, see, y'all need to be careful with that BS. I mean, pay attention. I mean, it's telling you directly what it is. The prophet told you, you know, there's going to be those with turbans and fezzes willing to put you back into bondage. That's what they do, you know. That's the intent, you know. And I'm listening to the language. I'm listening to the words you spitting out your vessel, you know. And I'm hearing how the people are responding to, you know, what you done put forth. And I'm like, dude, and you consciously doing this, really? Man, justice will get you, so I ain't even stressing on that. And all about that uplifting fallen humanity, I'm grateful to do my part for me. For me. And through me, my children, my offspring, my ancestors who chose to, you know, use me as a porthole to come back into this existence. I'm grateful to be a part of the cultivation of uplifting and fallen humanity, you know, just rebuilding my nation. I'm appreciative of that. I'm a Moor, not because of paperwork. That's my bloodline. Any questions? You feel what I'm saying? That's the clarity right there. If I don't do anything else, just declare it. That means clear to myself. Oh, for the record, I'm on a rant. Is that okay? I ain't gonna take up too much time, but I'm on a rant because this is insane out here. It hurts my heart to see that this is how we rolling. How you going to discredit a venue to which you've used yourself to propel yourself to where you're at right now, and then try to divert the people from the knowledge, from the truth, that which is going to get them in a position of being competent again. Because that was the agenda, to make sure we're not competent in our affairs. And I love the fact that y'all point out secret society. Come on now. Are you serious? One, the prophet did say that. All covers off these cats. So what? Even when he left the scene, before he left, the adept chamber was gone. All secret societies gone. So for them to even, come on now, really use your 5 senses. Stop being dumb. This is your flag. No, it says it right there, 19. What is the Moorish flag? Red flag, 5-point green star in the center of it. Any questions? No, see how? Because there's no, see now, come on now, slick back. I ain't got that to do. All I'm saying is don't drink the Kool-Aid. Really, people? If you ain't familiar with the Jamestown Massacre, just type that in Google. We got Google now. You know? Find out what's really good. Give me, you know what I'm saying, you got to register. What? Things are registered. I'm not a thing. Not in that particular, you know what I'm saying, frame of tone. I'm not that kind of thing. So, no, register, registry, none of that ain't got nothing to do with me. So if you think I'm going to, you know what I'm saying, conform or indulge in, dude, so I'm not supposed to recognize you attempting to put me back into slavery. Had me up in a FEMA camp somewhere. And it would be my own fault because I know better. I have knowledge of self. Islam, appreciate you. You know what I'm saying? Come on, people. What is we doing out here? Don't be out here trying to change your spouse's mind, your child's mind. If they're over the age and they've been making their decisions and doing their own thing for quite some time and you didn't, you know, got the call, as the mother said, you got the call. Be grateful. You know, if it come up in your day in conversation, okay, that's what it is, but don't be no Bible thumper about it. Ain't no need to be an agitator to the people that's, you know, built for that whole barbecue chips and grape Kool-Aid scene. Don't, you know, that's what that got to be. Be grateful it ain't you no more, if you was ever there. Because some people coming up, Bays, L's, and I'm just now finding out. I'm still a little, you know, furious about that, but I maintain. This is crazy. I appreciate everything, and yeah, you know, we're doing the work. I appreciate it. I appreciate having a venue where I can go and learn and grow. Brother Cujo, he must have walked away from his phone because I can't even call Cujo. I guess I could shoot him an email. I'm not real big on that, but anyway. I had a question for the brother. But, yeah, this is crazy out here. I can't believe at this day and age people are still falling for that weird shit. You know, and also I equate it to this, too. Back in the day when the prophet had left the scene in the physical sense, transcended, and a couple, you know what I'm saying, couple moons later, about 2 years or so, a brother walked through the convention and have a seat in the chair that honorary set for the prophet and said that he was the reincarnated, and he didn't get the brakes beat off of him. See, that's also what I equate this very moment, this very now, to be like. Ain't nobody seeing this. Am I the only person seeing that this dude is tripping? Okay. All right. Well, with that, I yield the floor.
All right. Thank you so much.
Just the energy. Word.
You know,
I
just realized. Oh, go ahead. Take another caller, and then I'll go in. Take another caller. I just got a text message about Cretan, but we'll deal with that later. Just take a couple more calls, and I'll answer. All right.
All right. Caller 480-438. You're live on the air. Please state your appellation at Northwest Maxim. Call 480-438.
Alrighty. All right, caller 443-769. You're live on the air. Please state your appellation at Northwest Maximum.
Islam. I am Hassan RVBey at Northwest Maximum. How's my family?
Islam.
All is well. All right.
How is everyone? I just wanted to call and say it's an excellent class, especially Kenneland Moor class before this one is just tied in hand. Being here for the last few weeks near the Cook County Corporation, I just kind of observing the energy here to see what it was that the prophet laid down, and just kind of not just studying but also being here where the prophet's energy is. Today I and a few of the family members of the Marvel Resource Center here at Mecca, Morocco, we were able to go to a budget meeting that was being presided over by Rahm Emanuel. I and Brother Devon Robinson-Neal and Yirmiyahu, Mother Cadence, and Mother RVBey, we've been frequenting the City Hall and Cook County corpses, so to speak, for the last 3 weeks, just to kind of just get the experience, kind of get familiar a little more with what these people are doing. We know that they're colorable, but it's one thing to study and read, and then there's another thing to kind of actually go and get a OJT, so to speak. So I just wanted to just say on behalf of all of us, we are very, very pleased with everything that all of you guys have been laying down for us so that we can have an online university to eventually have our own study groups and then step out there and take our place amongst the affairs of men and to be, kind of revered in an honorable fashion by these, we know that they're de facto, but these de facto people sit in these seats, they actually seem to be pleased almost that we're doing what we think is best, not just for ourselves, but for the community here, especially running into Moors that claim they've been here for 40-something years doing the Prophet's literature. And I'm finding out, I'm not even from this part of the Mexican, but I'm finding about people that were running gangs with the Prophet's information, and it broke my heart. Because when I was in the Baltimore Corporation, you don't hear about the gangs that were ran near the Chicago Corporation. So it made me really realize that what Moors Heritage and History School is providing, Moors Order at the Round Table, Canaan Moors, Brother Abdullah, Brother Taj, I mean, y'all definitely on point. I mean, it lets me know that divine line is from Mother-in-law, the Prophet, Sam Bay, Moors Order at the Round Table, MHHS, Canaan Moors. Like, I mean, if people don't stick to that, that's on them. But just me getting my experience from leaving near the Baltimore Corporation to come here near the Chicago Corporation, you can really see there is a lot of work that needs to be done. So I just wanted to say, first and foremost, to the mothers, Mother Anahita and Mother Rosemariah, you have my utmost respect, because I can see just by being here how much work y'all doing. So I completely respect everything that y'all doing for us. And we know that y'all said apologize for the delay for the material, but we appreciate y'all so much that it wasn't even a delay for us. So with that, I yield the floor. We love y'all. Islam, peace and love.
All right. Thank you.
All right. Peace,
All right.
Moors.
All right. Next caller, Brother Bakari. Peace and love.
All right.
Brother Bakari.
Yes.
Peace,
peace and
Noble.
love to everyone. Peace to you, Noble. Oh, man, I just wanted to call, and I wanted to ask a question, and then I heard about the nonsense about these accusations, and I'm not even going to spend a much time talking about that because, it's always going to be out there, particularly when you have individuals who get hyped up on people who get out in the community and who speak. One of the things that I like to do, and I've mentioned it before, is that whenever I run into someone
that has interest, I let them know what my position is, what my status is, right up front. These are the things that I'm involved in. These are the things that I study, and also when I meet individuals, I like to ask questions. I like to know, what are you involved in? What types of activities are you involved in when you say that you are a Moor? Are you involved in, I want to know up front. I don't want to know 6 months down the line. I want to know up front, are you one of those Moors who believe in naturalizing as opposed to what we do? And if you are, then I can respect it, then I can say, okay, well, it's nice meeting you, have a nice day, and be on your way. And I think that we need a lot more of that. It saves a lot of confusion. It gives people time to study. One of the things I heard years ago when I first started listening to RVBey is, and I certainly am no scholar. I'm studying, and I am no adept. But one of the things that I heard RVBey say, and I can respect it because it makes sense, is that PhDs are required to put out something in writing. And I just wish that it was that more Moors would make a requirement of individuals that they listen to. Let me read something about your position. What is your position on Moorish science? And I think that what we need is not only that, but we need to address specific areas in which Moors, who are prominent, or who get on a soapbox. There, collectively, there needs to be specific areas in which they can identify, and so that other people coming up can know, okay, this is where this guy's at, this is where this individual's at, etc. And I think that would help alleviate some of the confusion. And what do I mean specifically? And I'll keep it brief. What I mean specifically is that I'm going to take it, again, to my personal experience. When I came into this information, when I got the call, as the sister said, or the mother said earlier, when I got the call, I spoke to many different Moors because I was looking for information. And there was information that I was given in emails, over the telephone, that was incomplete. Some of that information required me to do personal study so that I could complete it. But then again, for other individuals, some of the information, there was no way that I could connect all of the dots, if you will, even if I did personal study. So we need to try to implement policies and procedures within our nation that would minimize some of these issues that we have with these people who like to talk, but and I don't mean to be disrespectful. As I continually state, I am still learning, and I am not the sharpest knife in the drawer, but we have a lot of individuals who are putting out information who are making that their success is based on, or rather their livelihood is based on what they sell. You see, and that should be a concern. For it doesn't necessarily mean that the individual is doing something bad, because if you've been out there for like 20 years, like a Taj or 30-something plus years, then I don't have a problem, spending fiat to, get study material. Like I don't have an issue like paying for classes, but, you still need to be, you still need to sift through the sand to get to those gold nuggets. You see, and and I think that there's not enough of that going on. I really do. I think that a lot of people come into the movement and they get very excited, and they are looking for a lot of gold. And when they go into some of these temples or they meet some Moors, they're not getting gold, but they're getting like tin, or they're getting chunks of rock, and they become dissuaded. And so we need to, if it were in my power, I would love to put it on the table to ensure that any Moor who is putting out a video or is standing up on a corner somewhere or giving classes somewhere, that they are sending out documents to people that they consult with that is clearly stating their position on some of these very important matters, such as birthright authentication, such as naturalization. Are you one of these individuals who follow individuals who say that they are the prophet reincarnated? Things like that. Young people coming in need to know these things early on in their stage of development, so that they don't become dissuaded, because some of those individuals are powerful, and we need them in the movement moving forward. And so I've already forgotten the question that I had. But anyway, I'd like to use the floor. Islam.
Well, I'd like to make a comment.
Me too.
Yeah. One of the things is I just wanted to say, on some of the things that you say, well, it's not verifiable, you are to use your five senses. Literally use your five senses coupled with study, and a lot of it is common sense. But you're right, people do jump out there, and you're right about the new people coming in. This is the time where and I think that it's the new people coming in who are getting bamboozled like that, and it's real heavy right now. But it's unfortunate and fortunate at the same time, because, well, it's not really unfortunate. It's just, it is what it is. But one of the criteria you mentioned about changing the literature, not everybody's going to write a book, but you're absolutely correct. The prophet himself said that in order to change the people, you must change the literature. Now we're going to show you how it's all really tied into the so-called educational system they have today regarding degrees. Because by saying that if you were to get your master's degree or your doctor's degree or whatever, you have to write something for consumption. Same thing is what you're saying right now, that you would have to write something. Now, there's people that are writing stuff, but, what can you do is, I would say to people when they read it, if it makes sense to them. Now, I would like to think that the generation coming in, like where do you start at? The generation coming in are the ancestors returned anyway, and they do use their five senses, and they do deal with what I would call common sense, and they do, they kind of sense, like now when you meet someone, you just kind of meet their soul, and they look for that beacon light of truth in your eyes when they look at you, and they have some discernment, and so for those who are being led this astray or whatever, I mean, I guess it's the course that they have to go on. It's what's going to happen with them. We can say, well, you need to study. Well, if you even deal with the elementary stuff that the prophet put out, like the 101s, right in there, he even says out of the in his literature, he says, out of the Sunday, S-U-N, school comes the guiders of the nation. So that should be a good clue that you study the 101s and you look at that and you can actually defend your whole existence and all the things that are being said, which brings me to some of the stuff that people are saying is that, oh, well, this isn't a mixum. They say it's a mixum, and then they say it's al-Morocco, and then they say it's whatever. Well, if you look at the questionnaire, I believe it's question 98, 99, or whatever, it says, what's the modern day? What's the modern name for Morocco? Then it tells you Africa. Then it says, what's the modern name for, Mexico? It tells you Africa. And then it tells you that Morocco is here. So if they didn't read the one, if they would read the 101s, they wouldn't say stupid things like that because it's right there in the 101s. So elementarily, even reading that would assist. Because if you're going to say, I'm going to go and I'm running to find a temple and whatever like that, well, then at least read the elementary information and start right there. So on one hand, yes, they're being misguided, and yes, they have power. But did we forget that the prophet said, it's in his literature, read it. It says, careful, Moors, somewhere in turbans and feathers will put you back into slavery. Now, I can't really speak for the younger generation so much because we can't live in where they are right now. Like we can't live where they are. So maybe, someone else can speak for, they can speak for themselves, but I think they're not going for the okie doke. The people that are going for that, they're not the ones that are going to be the vanguards of the nation anyway. Not that you're saying you should waste them, but I think there's a time that's going to come, someone told me this the other day, where everyone's going to stop and listen and look for information that I would say, if it feels good to your soul, follow it. And not just me saying that, the prophet himself said, follow the dictates of your soul. So if these people's souls are torn or whatever like that, this is the journey they have to go through to reach the degrees they need to get to. That's the only answer I can give. And I yield the floor, Ms. Maybe you can speak. You are part of that younger generation. Islam.
Yeah. Well, actually, I just wanted to speak a little bit on the topic Brother Bakari brought up, which is a very important topic that I'm seeing specifically in this day and age, whereas, things are a little different. So on the economic side, because I understand, that when somebody steps out in the world and they're saying this is a product that they have or service that they have, that, not everybody's intention at first is to live off of what they provide. But I think that we are in the times where that shouldn't even be a problem. Like, people should be able to live off of the products that they produce or what it is that they have to offer to the society. My prime example is this. I know a sister who makes soaps, all right? She makes soaps. She got all different types of flavors. And, I'm trying to set it up to do the interview with her so she can explain. She got Moroccan soaps, all of these things, right? Now, my thing is this. You got soap companies like Irish Spring, right, that Moors will go buy their soap, right? And they're not even Irish. They don't even question what their background is, but they're going to go get their soap. You feel what I'm saying?
Right.
But if this sister steps out and comes amongst the community, what do? They want to check her out. Oh, she caught a charge 3 years ago. She's a dirty Moor. That mentality has to stop. People should be able to live off of the products that they provide to the society. If they can't, if their sales aren't up like that, that's one thing. But what I'm saying is, if you would go support Irish Spring, right, and your skin isn't even, you don't even have Irish skin like that, you go buy that soap, but you'll put your sister under a spotlight or a magnifying glass because she had the courage to say, you know what, this is what I do. Put yours on the table. You know what I'm saying? This is what I do. And we're trying to live off of it. Why? Because we're in the days now where there's an economy that has never been before, meaning you can pull up anything online and order from China? Why shouldn't she be trying to live off that? Why shouldn't she? Tell me why she should be in the mind state of working for a Pilgrim or a European the rest of her life when she has a product to give to people. You know what I mean? And yeah, she puts her time, her energy, all of these things, and this is just one example, to making natural soaps that are definitely conducive to melanated skin or carbonated skin, copper complexion skin, right? But instead of just respecting it for what it is, why do our people have to go through this process of judgment that we are so hesitant to put the Europeans through? And this is where I find we don't support our own. Like, even though, yeah, you can check out her background, make sure you know what's the ingredients in the soap, but why does the product, why does the person's, you know, attributes have to supersede their products? Because I've never seen anybody put in a writ in the nature of discovery to Irish Spring. I've never seen anybody put a writ of nature in the nature of discovery to the supermarket. But they're living off of what? The products that are part of your ancestral state. There's no question in there. Nobody's done nothing on that. So the mentality of, you know, somebody shouldn't be able to live off their products in a certain aspect, I mean, it's discouraging for Moors to take that industrious role they once had. You understand what I'm saying? Like, there's artists out here who ought to be able to, you know, live off their work. You got everybody with a YouTube channel and all of this. Where's the artist creating your artwork for the logo? You know what I'm saying? I might be guilty of the same thing, but I'm just saying that the failure of our economics is the fact that we don't support our own. When we have creatives, we put them through a process of judgment that is undue. You know what I'm saying? This is what I'm saying, where the economy is failing at amongst us, because there are a lot of people who are content with working at 9 to 5, which is nothing wrong with that if that's what you want to do. But don't, you know, shun the industrious Moors who are like, yo, we had an opportunity that was never available in the lifetime before. Like, this is a new day and age. So don't be mad when the youth or the younger generation is saying, yeah, this is what I do and I'm going to live off of it. Because we don't blame the doctor for living off of being a doctor and he's killing you. You know what I mean? We don't blame none of these people. But I just think that there's just an undue aspect of judgment on creatives that doesn't place the value in what they're doing. Meaning, yes, she could be selling $5 soaps, but you got to recognize that if the soap is 5 notes, you know what I mean? It's not the 5 notes that's the value. It's the fact that this being said, okay, I have these resources, I have this creative ability, so now I'm going to bring this to my people. You know what I'm saying? That's the value, whether she charged 5, 10, 15, or 20. It's not the notes. It's the service that's being done, the product. So, again, I just see that aspect moving forward. We have to let the creators be creative. There was no. It was never a time where it was a opportunity like it is now. You know what I mean? It hasn't been like that we know of. You know what I'm saying? So people who are transitioning from saying forget the 9 to 5, I put those hours into my product and 100% profit back from that. What is wrong with that? What is wrong with getting off the plantation? That's what I'm saying. So we have to embrace these people, bring them into the knowledge, because she's working with soaps. This is a perfect segue to teach her about nationality too. Why? Because white means purity, right? That's a part of the lessons. So if she's providing soap, that should be a way to connect with the fact that, you know, what you're doing is needed in the society. She might have been one of those mothers that was washing up, you know, the concubines back in the days. Who knows? That might be her calling. But what I'm saying is we have to support our creatives, man. If not, we will always be working for the Pilgrim, right? And then on top of that, you're basically, you know, and I'm not mad at anybody who does or doesn't work I'm just saying it's a different lifestyle because now there's certain things you can't do without permission of the pilgrim or your master-servant relationship. And there's a lot of people in these days who are pulling out their creative attributes. So in them doing that, they're realizing they don't need the pilgrim per se to survive. Because think about this. You got Europeans who are spending millions of notes for pieces of artifacts that your ancestors created. They're spending millions on one piece of an artifact, all right? In museums, all of these things, they're like, yo, this is a piece of a gold nugget that was on the crown of whoever. You know what I mean? And they're like, yo, I got $3 trillion on it or $2 billion or whatever it is. They're valuing that. You know what I mean? And it's something we may not even see value in because we was like, you know, like has been said before, the gold and the silver standard was usually for modern Europeans. That was the medium. You had to come with some gold or silver, but to us, it was like, yo, that's nothing. We got tons of that over there. So, you know, we wasn't really impressed like that. However, there's people who value our culture more than we do. And this is why you see them do astronomical numbers for a painting. You know what I'm saying? Done by Moors. But then what does that show you? That your ancestors' creative skills and abilities were always valuable because didn't nobody go to art school or art or Philadelphia Art Museum or college or whatever, art college, to paint the paintings that you see on the walls in Kemet. That was natural ability that has value, that people all over the world adore, you know what I mean? Or different skills of building, you know what I mean? So my thing is this, we have to respect the creatives. If they have a product that's uplifting the fallen humanity or something that's a necessity, we need to embrace them just like you would embrace your Irish Spring soap without questioning. People don't even know who the owner of these soap companies are. They've never even heard of them. But those are necessities that are not questioned. So that's my concept. That's my perception, shall I say, on, you know, where things are going, moving towards the future. Because, you know what I mean, this is not 1980 no more. You know what I mean, where you had to hit the pavement, pound the pavement to get your product out there. You had to do all of these things. There's so much at your fingertips now, whereas that doesn't necessarily have to be done like that, though it's still a good thing to go to those old modes of, you know, getting yourself out there. But what I'm saying is, you know, the youth that's coming up right now, they are creatives. They're being creative, and we have to embrace that, find a way to get the information to them at all costs about the nationality and birthright, the fact that their ancestors were industrious, the fact that their ancestors were not working for pilgrims to survive. And the ones who were working for the pilgrims to survive were not surviving. They were getting paid peanuts, quote-unquote slave labor and things like that. So you have certain people who still got some aspects of that psychological trauma. They like, yo, I'll never work for a pilgrim again, not with these skills and abilities. You know what I mean? So, you know, with that, I respectively yield the floor. I think it's a great thing that we have to talk about eventually. You know what I mean? As far as our own industries, because you got to remember, we had the empire, the spice trade was global. You understand? Like, it was continental. So it was industrious Moors all over the world that did not punch the clock, but had wealth you couldn't imagine. So how did they do it? It was that the people saw the value in what they were doing. That's really it. That's all it was. You know what I mean? The people saw the value and liked what they was doing. Yeah.
And it's coming back when, Prophet Nawajir Ali had warned us that the wheels were going to stop turning, and when they come back up, it would be in our hands. So, yeah,
it's going to be in the hands of the Asiatics.
I think it's going to be more of a creative thing, and you can appreciate art. And when I say art, that covers everything, not just art, a painting, but just anything creative. I think it's going to be more of a creative thing than anything. It's not going to be like the commerce and restrictions and things like that. And people, what is it, necessity being the mother of invention, but there really is nothing new under the sun. I just think it's going to be more like that, and we'll be doing the things that we need to do to survive as family. And that's why we need to just go ahead and let the wheels turn as they are, stop as they are, start as they're going to, and we'll just be doing things out of more of a natural flow. We won't be looking at it the way in which we have been restricted to look at it, or it has been restricted to be in terms of trade and stuff like that. In terms of commerce trade, not actual real trade, like you grow something and I grow something else, or I make something else, one thing, and someone makes another thing, and we all intertwine like that. I think it's literally going to be back like that, and people are going to be happier to be creative, because that's really the spirit of the youth that's coming up right now. Not that all of them are that way, but for the most part, that's where we have to be headed to, because remember, the next age that's coming, being Capricorn, is law, order, and governing principles. It's resourcefulness, and it also indicates that man will receive his honors, awards, and achievements. Well, that comes through the generation that's here and the generation that's coming. So we have to always look at it from a broader perspective than the narrowness that we've been under, which is the part of the mental slavery. We always must look at it from a divine perspective and a universal perspective and a cycle of time and of energies that will affect us here on this earth plane, because that's broader and stronger than all of this other stuff. See, all of this other stuff is like watching the TV. It's an illusion. It's an act. It's propped up. But the real deal and the real energy and the real changes in nature and with Mother Nature and in mind, a universal mind, that's the more powerful than all of it. So if we're not in tune with that movement, or that, when I say movement, I mean literally that movement and those cycles, then, we'll just be still stuck in the mental place. But I just don't see that happening, because the cleansing is coming. And the cleansing is also universal, bigger than you, bigger than me, and it's going down. There is nothing that's going to stop that. And it's going down. So this cleansing is starting. It's not that it started. It always is, because it's about cycles. That's why it's cycle 7 or circle 7, same thing.
Actually, the cleansing is here. It's here. It's been here for a while.
Yes, it has. And these modern Europeans that have had their fingers on our neck or their foot on our neck, guess what? They're the first to be cleansed from the planet, because they're not going to be able to withstand the sun cycle that's coming through there. It's going to go right back to how it used to be. Well, not how it used to be, but how it used to be. It tells you, that they'll return to where? The caves. Why? Because the sun will kill them. And when they try to come out, they'll be right there at the foot of the hills, burnt up with what they call leprosy. I mean, that's just very real. That's a cycle that's very real. And so what we have to learn to do is, as the prophet said, we do not wish to amalgamate in that respect. And the earth is big enough. We'll have to know where we need to be, because they can't be where we are. The two, we can't coexist like that. Now, I'm not saying that we can't coexist as beings here, but there is going to be a definite different need or ability to deal with certain things that they're not going to have. Period. Just done. That's the bigger picture. So the cleansing starts with the planet starts to heat up. Well, it is. the consciousness of the people is really what's causing that to happen also, as well as the storms. You remember the prophet said, look, there is going to be, floods and storms and earthquakes. We're experiencing it, and we're still talking dumb stuff as if we don't realize what's going on universally, globally. Do you really think they're going to control all of nature? No. Illusion-wise, yes, but the veil is lifted. That's why these people trying to still take control of those who are seeking knowledge, right? Because remember, there's two types of people going through the earth seeking knowledge to and fro. Those who are seeking knowledge and those who are seeking to devour. So it goes back to, angels and demons, lower self and higher self. So, we got to really look at it for what it actually truly is, and on a broader scale. It's fun.
Wow. All right. Caller 972839. You're live on the air. Please state your appellation at Northwest Maxim.
Islam, family.
Islam.
Islam. This is Abdul Malik Sabir Shakur Bey, calling from Northwest Maxim from the Texas Republic territory. I give all praises to Allah. I give praises daily, thinking about my thought and inquisition with Noble Ali, our illustrious prophet. I give praise and thanks to my favorite moles and mobile, Danny, Ms. Ram, you must be on my mind. Indeed. Islam, family, it's always a pleasure indeed to listen to y'all because y'all have studied, and you are showing that you have been approved because the things in the writing and the study, you cannot combine this knowledge without getting into the murky, merry words of thought and knowledge. I just like to read this here. Right. It's out of the second seven Holy Quran.
All right.
Chapter 3. Elihu lesson, the unity of life. Again, Elihu met his pupil in the sacred grove and said, no man lived unto himself, for every living thing is bound by cord to every other living thing. Blessed are the pure in heart, for they will love and not demand love in return. They will not do to other men what they would not have other men do unto them. There are two selves, the higher self and the lower self. The higher self is the human spirit clothed with soul, made in the form of Allah. The lower self, the carnal self, the body of desire, is a reflection of the higher self, distorted by the murky ethers of the flesh. The lower self is an illusion and will pass away. The higher self is Allah in man and will not pass away. And I'm going to stop right there at verse 8. What people, Moors and Moabites, must understand, as we know that Yahshua, as surname Jesus, his father was carpenter, learned the carpentry trade. You know how to use the plumb line, the wedge, the level. He know how to lay and how to measure the intricate patterns to the force and nature structure of Mother Earth. For us to come back in accordance with our true and national and divine self, we must be taught with the plumb line and raised up and build upon knowledge until we grasp that which has already been instilled through our foremother that gave us birth and brought us forth into this generation. Here we are, yearning and learning. We're going around collecting our own types of nonsense. This to those who come in and go out. But Allah is in you and He's with you. He will raise you up when He knows that your heart is taken and laid with I, self, law, and master. And you devoted on love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice. And you will shine and raise up above those who are coming into the knowledge, grasping for straw. For Allah is supreme, He is superior, He's wise, and He knows all things. And He will lead us in accordance to direction by you applying yourself. As the seed cannot grow forth its fruit and come forth the tree to bring forth the host of fruit, if not been placed into the earth which Allah has prepared. That into the earth, in the secret place, the chambers of Allah, that you will be nourished by Him. That he or she, more or mobile, will raise themselves up in Allah's own time and strength. And you will decide, and you will know which is the true way from falsehood. And you will lead not only yourself, because Allah has sent and prepared those who will follow you. And you will guide them not only for your sparkle, gleam, or glamour, but for the presence of Allah to raise His people out of a dead state to a live state. Islam, family, I love y'all. Keep it strong and keep going on. Islam.
Islam, noble.
Islam. All right. Well, I have been here in a while.
Yeah.
All right, this is our last caller, unless somebody else has something to add. Caller 404553, you're live on the air. Please state your appellation at Northwest Maxim.
Islam family. My name is Hassan Bey, and I'm calling from Louisiana, Northwest Mexico.
Correct.
Peace, noble Islam. Northwest Mexico.
Hey, man, I want to get this out. I'm going to be quick. Man, I love y'all, man. I love everything y'all do. I appreciate y'all for y'all time. Y'all.
Word.
And, quick
you too, man.
Are you guys still doing the sealing process?
Yes.
All right. I sent in my proclamation to get sealed about a month ago. So if it's not back by now, do I send another packaging, or what do I do about that?
Well, first of all, let me ask you, why do you think we're not doing sealing anymore?
Because I sent it in and I haven't gotten it back yet.
Oh, all right.
That's it.
No, actually,
no.
I'm not at my computer at this time, but I can tell you, along with everybody else, everything that was received has been processed and cleared out and put in the mail. The only thing that I have is mail that was picked up October 28th, 30th, and 31st. So,
you should get his appellation.
Hassan Mansa B. Hassan Hassan Mansa MANSA. Mansa. MANSA.
Yeah.
I'll have to check, but I can't remember. I can't remember if I did or I didn't. But what you can do is I'm going to be putting up a number for people to be able to call just to ask questions about the name correction and proclamation. It would have been up today, but I forgot the phone to activate it. So,
that's cool. You got a lot on your plate, sister. I appreciate all the work you guys do.
Mail. It should be in the mail. She said she got them all out from everything before the
I know. I everything, and you know, everything that I received has been processed and mailed out, except you know, anything that I received on October 28th. That's it. Everything is done.
Great.
All right, that's cool. I just double check my mail, and if you know, I just take it from there. I appreciate y'all. It's long, family.
It was all mailed out like Friday. Between Friday and Monday night. Monday night.
That just
Friday, Monday.
Yeah.
Between Friday and Monday, everything went out. So.
All right, cool.
Check your
I'll
mail.
just give another week or two.
Yeah.
All right. It's long, family. Thank you.
Otherwise,
right.
brother, you have the email. You have the email, right? GSN AMA. Oh, okay. Well, you should probably have it, though. We're so happy that you got
all right. Thank you, sir.
Yeah.
All right.
All righty.
All right.
We got another caller. Caller 412-969. You're live on the air. Please state your appellation at Northwest Maxim.
Just long, family. It's just Energy L, Northwest Maxim again. I just appreciate the call. I don't get to talk to you all like that. I wish I did live in these houses that's abandoned all around me. That's just sad. But anyway, you can only live in your body, but you know what I mean. Anyway, I just appreciate the fact that, you know, the information that is provided by the various websites that's produced by active Moors out here are made available to us all. And if it wasn't for sites like the RVBey Publications website, I wouldn't have known how to handle my affairs concerning my daughter, you know, when I'm being accosted by public servants and things of that nature. If it wasn't for websites like your own, I mean, come on now. How am I supposed to know this? It's not being taught in the so-called, you know, normal way of living, i.e. the education system. Come on now, they tell me my history started in a particular time in history, like 1600, something like that. Come on, I'm an ancient being. What is you talking about? You know, so I'm not going to get it there. And it's the way these so-called churches are set up, sure ain't going to get it there. And it's unfortunate that the Moorish Science of America, you know, it's operating the way it do. You know, for the most part, not every temple, but, you know, for the most part. That's how it's rolling. It's all cliquish out here. And these sites are really important right now. And for anybody to attempt to attack this information, if that ain't the epitome of lower self operating, I don't know what would be. I mean, a clear bell. But anyway, I guess I yield the floor on that one too.
Thank you.
But no. Miss, I appreciate you saying that about living off of the things that you produce. I've been sewing since I was 4 years old, self-taught. And I create all kinds of things. My mom, she erected the site, cabochonandmoors.com, cabochonandmoors.com, and we're allowing others to display their wares, you know, and services and what have you on the site. And I just figure I put that out there as well. So keep a lookout for that, cabochonandmore.com, and it's all one word. But you're absolutely right, because that's what we do. You know, we decided a long time ago, or for me a long time ago, that I didn't desire to do the whole employment thing. And I've been employed since 14, and I'm 43 now, but I've been not doing that whole gig thing for about 3 or 4 years now, and I'm appreciative of it. You know, I'm grateful to even have the mindset to not even be about that. you know, with all the gifts, skills, and talents that I'm instilled with. Come on now. And I know I'm beneficial to my community, to my family, to my nation, you know, globally. It's on that level. However, I appreciate you pointing that out, Miz. My mom had the phone at that time. I was bathing the baby. But I had caught the beginning parts of it, and I brought the phone in for her to share it. And she was like, yeah, I really appreciate what the brother was, you know, what the son was putting down. Let you know.
Word. And I appreciate you realizing the reality in that, because I was just talking to a sister yesterday, super creative sister. I'm like, yo, our nation needs you, you know what I mean? And we build on different concepts because, you know, she's understanding the concept of being black or not being black, you know what I mean? But still in all, one of the things she was saying was like, yo, she had a vision. She had a vision that the Ancestor Center, like, yo, I have to put my talent on display to the world. This ain't just one city thing. But she was like, the only thing is, I feel like while I'm working, since I work and punch a clock, I can't really get into my zone like that. So, you know, it's like that is one of the problems of why we don't see a lot of productive or creative or industrious Moors like that. Why? Because most of their time is being given to the pilgrim in exchange for pilgrim notes. Don't get me wrong, people do what they have to do, but what I'm saying is when it's time to pull the ancestral, you know, attributes out of yourself, you can't let somebody's perception block you from doing that. So what I'm saying is we have to really, and not commerce, but focus a little bit on economics. How can our brothers and sisters specifically be put in comfortable positions where they can pull a creative out of themselves and do that? You know what I'm saying? Like you sew. You know what I mean? We need well-knit clothes for the winter time and things like that. Why should I judge you because you're not punching the clock? You're surviving off the fact you have a skill. Just like any attempted
to, because the nation is not very supportive. Like you said, they'll go to the store and get something off the rack that, you know, 30,000 other people got, you know, where you can get something specifically made by you, by someone you know that where the notes is going to or where the finances is going to and the work that's being done in that venue. Like I said, I educate my children in the home. That's what I'm supposed to do. I mean, it's unfortunate that my nation ain't strong enough where I can send them to one of our fine institutions. However, at this time, I just have to rely on the single institution that I'm very sure of and that is my home. You know, and the fact that I'm able to be industrious in front of my children, my offspring, you know, amongst my nation, that's who they are, my people. You know, I appreciate being able to do that, you know, and be about that instead of talking about when I'm going to get my check, oh, these bills and all that mindset. Yeah, that's the distraction if you let it be. However, when you get clear and knowledge of self and you got skills, I mean, come on now, yeah, do you. I know you're doing a gig for now, but have it in your mind that this is not what you desire to do. You do not wish to do that gig thing. And you really would like to dedicate your energy to that which you know you're good at, and you produce it, and there is a venue. We will start supporting ourselves. We got to. That's just the cycle we're in. So I hope a lot of Moors, if not all the Moors that have had it in their mind for a while, that they got a skill, they got a talent, they got a service that they like to do, say, you know what, I'm going to give it to this time and I'm out. You know, whatever little fiat that I've collected to utilize this and other thing, so I strongly learn how to navigate and deal with contracts in this particular paradigm we're in. You know, until I get my weight up on that, I'll save up those notes for that. But once that come about, you know, and I'm doing my zone, yeah, globally we already globally tied in. That's what the internet is for. Like I said, all those who wish to, you know, display their wares on cabochons and more.com, you know. And Mom's is setting up the Moorish University as well. So, you know, this is what we're doing. That's being active. When I asked the question yesterday on another Moorish website, regardless if they're dirty or not, whether they sleep or not, whether they're misleading or not, they still Moors. But anyway, I asked the question about, does this website, I'm speaking of a website, mind you, does this website support or show links to other family members / Moors? And this is, I purposely worded my question like this now, mind you. You know, other active family members / Moors who are producing information that help us be better citizens. And the responder tried to chew my head off.
That's a good
and it
question.
was crazy. It was supposed to go through that because, once again, this is a so-called call, a national call, you know, and I'm hoping folks caught that, you know. Really, I mean, this is the energy, you know, that you're putting yourself into. Now, you're doing this willingly. It's showing itself for what it is. I only ask a simple question, and it only makes sense. I'm affiliate myself with all that which is uplifting, fallen humanity. Why wouldn't I? Under love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice, how can I go wrong? You know, this is what it is for me, and ain't no paperwork going to give me that. Ain't no book really going to give me that. You got to be tapped into that on you. This is something can't be taught to you. It really can't be. How I roll, and I appreciate what I get to learn. You know, all these different codes and, you know, what law is and what law is not. You know, I appreciate knowing the difference. I know what a civilian is, and the fact that I appreciate them pointing it out. Yeah, ain't no civilians no more. That's why they say citizens all the time. She's absolutely right. You know, civilian means know the law, and yeah, most people have not a clue. But then do these facts and figures of the black baseball, you know what I'm saying, team and da-da-da-da, whatever. Got time for fantasy sports, but whatever, man.
Right. And you know, it's funny.
Well,
I gotta say, one of the problems of why we fail economically is because we don't see the value in our industrious abilities. Like, there's certain people who just won't value it. Like, because it's a psychological condition.
I got a whole family that won't support me, man. My mother got 8 siblings still alive, and they got offspring. And so my own so-called blood family won't even support me. And I've been sowing since 4. Come on now, people. That's how deep the psychosis run. They'll go to the mall, but they won't come to the house.
Right.
My aunt just said 2 days ago, right, on Facebook, my cousin was on there singing into the mic, just being weird and being her, you know, and she's definitely a sweet Moor, but my aunt was singing to the mic, because I was over on our way over. We're only about 7 minutes away from each other. And I was like, oh, we were like 2, you know what I'm saying, we're on our way. She said something to the effect of, oh, no, not those weird people, because I'm black, and they weird talking about they're white. I was like, oh, you know what, Auntie, that's okay, I'll stay away. And that's a her piece, but, you know, do what you do, you know. But I know not to go be watered. So, yeah, the non-support is real out here.
Well, actually, you know what, it's just that they, look, you know, the call comes in all kind of shapes and forms, and they just didn't get the call. That's all that means.
And what is the problem?
Exactly. And I ain't complaining.
If you are the only one,
it's just the way it is. But
I'll be the only one.
That's right.
And I'm good with that.
We got another caller, but thank you so much for that comment. All right, peace and love.
Peace and love.
All right,
what you say?
610-868. You're live on the air. Please state your appellation at Northwestern Maximum. Islam, caller 610-868. All righty, maybe I don't know. Something must be going on with their phone. Islam, are you there? Wait. All right. Well, they're not answering. All right. So before we're gonna end the broadcast, but before we do that, I would like to just say one thing. because, oh, wait a minute, we got one more caller, and I'm trying to do this. We got one more caller, but before I take this next caller, I just want to say that, when we talk about economic development for our people, but in truth, we don't know where our issue is not really economic development, and I want to explain that real quick. What everybody does not seem to realize is that our liberties have been arrested, all right, and they have not been released. Why do I say that? Because when you look up the definition of liberty in the Black's Law 4th edition dictionary, as well as some of the verbiage that is written by the United Nations, for example, the rights of indigenous people, we're not supposed to be trying to figure out how to get Federal Reserve notes so that we can find a place to live. We're not supposed to be trying to figure out how to get Federal Reserve notes so that we can pay for gas, electric, and water, all resources of the land. All right? We're not supposed to be trying to figure out ways to get Federal Reserve notes so that we can have food. Food that comes from the land. These foods were growing here before modern Europeans got here. We need to think about what was going on before the modern Europeans arrested our liberty. We had a place to live. We had food in our mouth. We had clothes on our back. We had water. All right? We had electricity, people. It's not the primitive electricity that we're using today, but we had electricity and we had gas. We have oil come from this land. So we are not supposed to be paying as people. We are not supposed to be paying for those things. Corporations are supposed to be paying for those things because it is a privilege for corporations to be on this American soil, functioning in some sort of commercial capacity where they're producing or supposed to be producing a product or a service. So what we need to recognize is who exactly is arresting our liberties. Well, when it comes to trying to find some place to live, everybody overlooks the pink elephant in the room that claims the land and everything upon it. And that pink elephant is called the county, city, town, township, borough. Even if the building that is on the land is abandoned, people are supposed to be able to move into those abandoned buildings and live freely. But if you do that, these municipal corporations will send their Roman soldiers because they have earmarked that abandoned property to be recycled in their mortgage scam. So they have to make sure that that building is abandoned and empty for a certain period of time so they can prove that it has in fact been abandoned so that they can then claim it and turn around and sell it all over again in this thing called the mortgage scam. These people are also the ones that arrest the liberties in terms of the flow of water. All right? Water don't flow above the land. Water flows below the land. All right? They are also the ones that arrest the electricity, the flow of electricity, the flow of gas, the flow of crude oil. These are the people, these employees of these various municipal corporations are the ones that are arresting the people's liberty.
So what we as a people need to do is get them to release our liberty. Now we talk in a different type of autonomy, because now you are free to truly figure out what it is you want to do and who you want to exchange it with. For example, you got Sister Energy. She's saying that she's sews. She's a seamstress / tailor. She can make anything, you know. So now, if I build furniture and she needs a piece of furniture and I want something that I want her to make me something, well then we can get together and we can exchange. Because our livelihood is not supposed to be about Federal Reserve notes. That's why the prophet said there will come a day when you see a $20 bill on the ground and you will step over it. That is the day when we truly free our minds from the enslavement that these modern Europeans have put on us. So we have a lot of work to do, because we're not, look, everybody seems to be waiting for, you know, somebody to come save them. Oh, let's get together in a group and do this, that, or the other. We're not all in the same location. But guess what? If we all went to work asking questions of these various corporations that have arrested our liberty, we will gather enough information to effectively put a federal suit on them to release our liberty. And if enough of us did that, it will spread like wildfire across the nation. And now we can talk about, hey, what you want to do in your spare time, because now you got some.
I just want to add this one last thing on the note of the seamstress. Flashback, my 2013, we were honored to be in the Catskill Mountains, and remember that bookstore we came across?
Yeah.
All right, all of that was divine, right? Because they had just opened up from Mother Nature, flooding them out, so they had like a lot of flooded goods and things like that. But there was this one book that, you know, I mean, it called my attention, but I didn't obtain it. It was relatively small too, but I know it had a lot of science in it, and it was on how to make clothes, and this was dealing with Aboriginal ways of making clothes. I would say the book, it wasn't no thicker than a condensed King James Bible. I think it was less than that. You know how much they wanted for that book? It was like 375 notes for that book. And I say that to say that these Europeans understand the value of our natural skills and abilities, right? Because you have Moors who say, I'd never pay that much for a book. But you got Europeans who are like, I know that's going to bring me for 100 times fold from whatever I put out to obtain it, if I absorb the knowledge in it. So I say that to say that our natural skills and abilities have value, and I think this is a conversation we're going to have again. But I know we're winding out, and I'll yield the floor right now. Islam.
All right.
All right. Well, we got this caller 610868 back again. Islam, are you there?
Islam.
All right.
Hi, this is Janet L. calling from Northwest Amexham, and I'm calling about one of my favorite sisters, Sister Energy. I need to know how to spell her website, cabashondemoris.com.
Don't have the correct spelling. We need to get that. Well, we should, if she don't chime back in, we should be able to make sure that we know how that's spelled by next Tuesday.
You can text it to me, and then I'll give it to you if she's still listening.
Okay.
Because she's off the line right now.
Yeah.
No, I'm not.
Oh, hey. Hi,
sweetheart. Yeah, I am here. I ain't going nowhere. This is class.
Peace and love.
If my phone ain't died or, one of the children, ripped the arm off, no, I'm in class. We give honor to
spell that out.
those other institutions. I'm going to give my time to my calls like I'm supposed to when I do it. So I'm getting, because my spelling sucks, and I would like to make sure I'm giving Cabochon the correct spelling. And I'm looking for a business card here on my table, but it's not here, but my mom's in the next room. Appreciate you asking, Mother.
Okay.
Yes. Mama, spell Cabochon for me. Mute that. My bad. Spell Cabochon.
C-A-B-O-C-H-O-N-S.
And
more. M-O-R-E.
And more. MORE.com.
And more. .com.
Well, I was gone. No, I ain't gone. Not until the call is done. And I can't wait to go back into the archives so I can study. Because all of what you said about, how to get this. Because, you can't be telling me I'm paying you a bill with fiat. This is a debt instrument. You can't pay a debt with a debt. So I'm clear on that. It's just the whole process. So when I go back to the archives, I can start breaking that down and taking myself to the next level. Because that is the next level. I mean, it's getting ridiculous out here.
Yeah. All right. Well,
I don't like being extorted like this.
All right. Peace and love. Thank you so much for that information. And we got one more caller, and we'll be out.
Wow.
All righty. All right. Caller 214-565. You're live on the air. Please state your appellation at Northwest Maxim.
Yes, this is Abdul Malik Zubair Shakur Bay. This is me once again. I was just feeling so bad. I was getting a shout out to all the pounds on there. Roz Mariah. Put your name out there. Yes, indeed. And everything that you all are stating that through y'all studies, comprehensive studies, and you are giving it to the people, because I told y'all earlier, I didn't use it. I done been in front of my honor, and you don't get your honor. My honor went there, and he told his Loyola, that was me and my wife called Loyola, and they call him lawyer, whatever. And she told them they need to go study. I said, wow, I'm telling myself, I didn't look surprised at the particular time. You know what I'm saying? I had to play the game. I had to do the mud deal. Come on. But anyway, you know what I'm saying? It's all good, and the listeners, and I'm hearing new voices, and then I'm claiming the nationality right on, you know what I'm saying? Because this is our land, and the Mobile is our mother, That's how I was raised with and grew around, like I stated earlier, that I was raised with nothing but women. My mother has 10 sisters, and me and my mother born the same month, same date. Wow. And there was a election, and my mother told me I was going to do something in 1976, and when I was 18 years old. And I had written something up, and that's when we were getting a lot of fun before we were getting now with our youth going to school. They went this so-called educational system by these states, universally. Anyway, and I had got a grant, and I went to a college here locally, and I had written something in I worked in the Dean of Women office, and I was a writer, artist, and things like that. And I never forgot the title that I wrote, and she said it went all out through the United States to our colleges and stuff. It was entitled, "A Mind is a Terrible Thing to Waste." Yes, That's me. And I'm going to let y'all go. I love y'all. Waiting to hear from y'all. I'm always on the internet, reading and studying y'all. I know